I need to get this off my chest. It haunts me every night, and I don't know who to speak to about this. Before I delve any further into this story, I want to clarify that the unicorn I followed was actually a one-antlered elk. Obviously, unicorns don't exist. It's just how I refer to it to keep my friends from knowing I talk about it sometimes. It was spring break of my sophomore year in high school. Me and a few of my buddies were excited because we'd secured a handle of cheap vodka, and being 15, 16, this was our first time really drinking. We wanted to go camping and have a fun time getting drunk out in the woods. However, since we were young, our parents told us that we weren't allowed to go due to the cold. Keep in mind, spring break in the Rockies is nowhere near warm yet most years. Although we were bummed, my friends' parents decided they would compromise and let us use their timeshare in a small mountain town. Looking back, way more of an upgrade than a compromise, but being 15, we were annoyed our original plans fell through. The town, although relatively busy, is still small. The kind of place where family-owner stores littered Main Street and people quieted down no later than 10 p.m. Excited for our weekend away, we packed our bags, which included the handle and our PlayStations, like any sensible 15-year-olds would bring. We were excited to finally be rebellious. And that we were, just not how we originally planned. The first night went smooth. We had a few shots each and enjoyed having a small sense of freedom while playing video games. Apart from accidentally breaking the cable cord that connects to the TV and underage drinking, it was how any vacation starts, honestly. And I wish it stayed that way. After exploring the town on the second day, we got some dinner and headed back to the hotel. Honestly, just excited to get drunk again. Now, I don't know what flipped in our brain, but the second night we decided to get plastered. There was more than 3/4 of handle left, and for 3 15-year-olds for their first time drinking, it was more than enough. I don't remember much of the night, but I can recall a few things for certain. 1, the handle was completely empty when we woke up. 2, all 3 of us threw up that night. And 3, we had the worst hangovers you could possibly imagine. Waking up groggy and feeling like crap, we packed up our bags as it was checkout day and headed into town for some breakfast to try and help subdue the hangover. It was a Sunday, so there's no rush back home, so we decided to stop and sit down. Stuffed and still recovering from raging headaches, we stumble out of the restaurant, and from there, my life changed forever. We were on the end of the main street, where the restaurant started to become small insurance agencies and whatnot. Down the road a ways, I saw a dirt road, and standing on it was an elk with 1 antler. I pointed this out to my friends and said, "Check it out, it's a unicorn," thinking I was a comedian. One of my friends, being an animal lover, decided he wanted a picture of it, so we walked a little ways down the road, but it was moving away from us, too far to get a good picture. My buddy was so adamant about getting a photo, we followed the elk for about a quarter of a mile or so. Not too far, but enough to where the pines surrounded us on both sides. Finally, we come up on a detached garage, behind which was a small clearing, and see the elk grazing on the little bits of grass sticking through the snow. Perfect for my friend to take his photo. So that's what he does. He gets his photo, and right when he snapped the picture, the worst 9 hours of my life started. We turn around to a large crashing sound to see a busted screen door and man with white hair holding a shotgun. His house was across the gravel patch from the detached garage where we were standing at. He immediately begins screaming at us, "Get off my property!" as he cocks his shotgun. Keep in mind, we didn't really know we were trespassing, and even so, we had no malintent. Once he yells, my buddy, being the idiot he says, starts sprinting into the woods, further onto his property instead of the dirt path we came in on. We asked him why later, and he just said, "Flight or fight." However, this was only the beginning. Since we are now getting further onto this man's property, he began chasing us. And I kid you not, he fired 4 shells from what I think was a double-barrel shotgun. Luckily, the trees were thick and none of us were hit. Although the bang of a shotgun you know is aimed at you is a trauma that will never go away. We were younger and more nimble than the man, so we ran and ran and ran and created a gap between us and him, trying to get as far away from him as possible. I swear, we ran at least 5 miles deep into the woods, weaving through trees and snow. I'm no runner, but adrenaline will not let you stop. Finally, we feel we've gone far enough to take a breather, so we sat down briefly to collect ourselves. And then the fear set in. We were lost. No service, no maps, no food. All our stuff was already packed in the car. The only thing we had as a way out were our footsteps back, but we didn't dare backtrack. Who knew how close he was behind us? 5 miles deep in the snowy woods of the Rocky Mountains, 3 15-year-olds looked into each other's eyes knowing we were sincerely screwed. We only had one option, and that was to keep moving. So we did. Now at walking pace, we trekked 3-ish more miles into the woods, hoping we would find a road of some sort, or, God forbid, a cabin we could call someone from. But what we ended up finding haunts me to this day. Finally, after walking for what seemed like ages, we came across what felt like a hallucination. Right in front of us, there was a clearing in the trees, not like any other clearing, though. It was a perfect circle, as if someone had taken a compass to a piece of paper. There were 16 trees, each one evenly spaced, defining the parameter of said circle, with a hunting cam mounted on every single one. In the center was a metal hatch, very similar to the one in the TV show Lost. Only this did not lead to a safe haven. The same idiot friend who ran into the woods marches over and immediately tried to open it. Stop! Me and my other friend yell, afraid that a bomb or something is going to detonate. Did I mention we were 15? He ignored our warnings and lifted the somehow unlocked hatch up, opened it, and fell to the ground and started bawling. Me and my friend slowly approached to the most horrifying thing we have ever seen. Inside this hatch contained 4 very distinct things. The first being a small arsenal of 20-ish guns. The second being at least 50 bricks of packed and sealed cocaine. The third, 25,000 in cold, hard cash. And the last, 2 dead bodies, with shotgun holes sprayed across their backs. I swear to you, the image in my head is the worst thing I've ever seen. Maggots crawling all over the bodies as they decomposed, one of the bodies missing both eyeballs. It was vile. I have nightmares still. We didn't know what to do. We didn't want to get involved with something that we shouldn't be involved in. And looking back, however, what we did was probably the worst thing we could have done. My friend takes off his drawstring bag and began loading 19,000 of the 25,000 into his backpack. It was all he could fit, and me and my other friend still sat there in shock, unable to comprehend what's happening. Our friend then drops 2 12-gauge shotguns at our feet and begins to lecture us on what's going to happen next. He's used hunter cams before, and even if he hadn't, they weren't complex. He explained that we had to lift him up, camera by camera, as he removed the SD cards and ripped the wiring out from all 16 cameras. So that's what we did. We were still in shock as we did all this. After we removed the last camera, we picked up our guns, closed the hatch, started walking back the same way we came. Only this time, nobody said a word. We walked and walked in the dead silence following our old footsteps, armed with our heads on a swivel. However, what we saw kept getting worse and worse. About a mile away from where we entered, almost out back to the main street, we see the old man who chased us. Only this time, he was face first in the snow, body purple and cold. We think it was a seizure or a heart attack, but I still don't know. But to be safe, we disarmed him. We couldn't call the police now. We were in too deep and didn't know who we'd piss off by notifying the cops. So we marched on. Finally, we reached the dirt road and waited as our 16-year-old friend brought the car around, and we loaded the guns and money in the back with the luggage. We drove the 4 hours home still dead silent. We split the money and swore we would never talk about what happened again. Too afraid to go to the police, and that was the end of it. It's been 7 years, and I still can't live with myself. To my knowledge, those bodies decomposed in that hatch. I feel an immense guilt for what we did, and I don't know what to do with myself now. I'm a wreck. I dropped out of college my freshman year, and I don't have any motivation to live. I'm hoping that this post will give me some relief, but until that happens, I implore you, please, never follow the unicorn.